What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team Career Mode. We're here for round 10 of Season 3 of our career mode, and we're going to be at the British Grand Prix. We are coming off the back of a decent result in the last race in Austria. I believe it was P6 in the sprint, followed by P8 in the race. You know, picked up some good points on the way to hopefully scoring 100 over the course of the season, and yeah, getting that big sponsorship bonus at the end of the season. British Grand Prix is a track that, as I'm sure most of you know by now, I absolutely love. Probably my favourite track on the F1 calendar at the moment, both from a viewer perspective and also from a racing perspective in the game. I tend to have my best races around here. I've been particularly strong here in league races before, and I just generally think it's a really solid track and one I enjoy a lot. So I'm hoping that we can go well here, score some good points. Probably I'll do quite well in qualifying, I imagine. I always do. Even when I've been in back marker cars before, I've managed to get myself onto sort of the front few rows. So maybe we could even fight for pole position here, which would be my first pole since last season. I believe the Portuguese Grand Prix was the last time I got a pole position, if I remember correctly. Although, to be honest with you, I don't remember. It's been that long. So yeah, we will see what we're capable of doing. We're going to switch out the gearbox because it's pretty worn at this point. Not sure it's going to last another race, and what we don't want is a failure that could have been avoided. So yeah, we're going to be switching out that gearbox for one that actually works, and getting into the weekend. Now, we're getting pretty close to the halfway point of the season, and in the previous video I did post a question about whether at the end of this season we should like which driver we should sign. I said we're probably going to get rid of Dennis Hauger. Who are we going to get in? But as we approach the halfway point of the season, I'm pretty much sold on this idea that I am going to re-sign Dennis Hauger. You know, he's been performing pretty well in practice. Again, he's outperformed me here. Obviously, this is just practice, but you know, he's been fairly close to me, position-wise at least, in some of these races. And, you know, he's had his moments of brilliance. He's been getting through to Q2 pretty consistently now, which is pretty much all we want from him at the moment. You know, with the car in the state that it is and our facilities in the state that they are, I don't think we can expect too much more from Dennis. So, yeah, I think we're going to try and play out the rest of the 2025 season, this would be, with Dennis Hauger. But then when we move into 2026, we will probably endeavour to sign someone else. And like I said, some of the front running candidates at the moment are Piastri and Sonoda. If we can persuade either of those to come across, probably if we're going to sign anyone at the moment, we'll have to sign them from a team that's sort of lower down from us. But obviously that will change depending on where our car is come the end of the season. I reckon we could easily be ahead of perhaps Alpine as well, maybe also one of the other top 5 teams. So yeah, we might have Ocon and Gasly that we could possibly sign as well. That would be very, very controversial if we tried to sign one of those guys. Could you imagine? Given that they're our closest rivals and we share an engine supplier as well, that would be a very, very interesting move that would shake up the Formula One world quite a lot. But we can think more about that in the future. For now, we've got to think about one thing and one thing only, and that is qualifying for the British Grand Prix. We do a 1:24.6 to kick things off, and I would wager to say that time is maybe good enough to see us through, but not going to be good enough to get us even close to the top spots. And at the end of the session, it would have been good enough for P13. However, I did improve significantly on another fresh set of soft compound tyres by 7.5 tenths. We improved into the 123s, and that gets us P2 here in qualifying in Q1. So yeah, pretty good. We're through quite comfortably into Q2. And, well, not only are we through to Q2, but also in just a moment, when I scroll down, you will see that Dennis Hauger is through in P15. So, yeah, very solid result from him, and hopefully he can have a good time of things in Q2 as well. Eliminated here was Sargent Lawson, Joe De Vries, Fittipaldi, and Albon, I believe. I didn't quite see in time because I was talking about Hauger, but yeah, I think that's who was eliminated there. And now we are through into Q2. We're going to be on a used set of soft compound tyres to kick things off, and hopefully we can get a good time here. So 1:24.5, decent banker, probably not good enough to see us through into Q3, so we will have to go again on a fresh set, but that's exactly why I do a banker on a used set, so we have a little bit more in the tank for our second flying lap. And you can see that at the moment, as we come into the final sector, we are almost 9/10 up already. So yeah, if we can find a bit more performance through these last few corners, we can improve by like a second or so, which would be very, very exciting. Although we get a little bit on the curb there, and that actually kind of, I don't know, stops us in our tracks in terms of improvement. But we still improved by almost 9/10, and that's good enough for first, nonetheless. Despite the fact it wasn't a perfect lap, you know, we definitely had more improvement to make. And I definitely could go faster in Q3, I reckon. It's 1:23.6, 16 thousandths of a second faster than Norris. Is good enough to be on top, but yeah, I definitely think that there is more in the tank for us there as we make our way through on top into Q3. Eliminated here was Gasly, Verstappen, Sainz, Hauger, and I believe Sonoda and Hulkenberg are the two below there. We will scroll down in just a second to find out. But yeah, not a bad performance from Hauger, I would say. P14 is about the best I could expect from him. He was actually less than 2/10 off of Sainz as well. So we're starting to close in on the sort of upper midfield of Ferrari and Alpine, I would say. Probably the two teams on the grid at the moment that are not capable of really challenging for podiums, but definitely challenging for points. So those are the two teams that I'm sort of comparing myself to at the moment, Alpine and Ferrari. Aston Martin is just a little bit too far ahead at the moment, I think. Another used run, and it's a 1:24.2 this time, which is actually pretty good, to be fair, for a used set of tyres. You know, that's kind of around the times I was doing on a fresh set in Q1. So, yeah, definitely the track may be evolving a little bit. And once again, we are 8/10 up into the final sector. So who knows what kind of time we can do come the end of the session. We're almost 9/10 up now as we come into the Vale chicane and through the final corner. And I think we're going to improve by over a second here, looking at it, just about. It's going to be a 1:23.1 as we cross the line, and it's pole position! Pole position! Absolutely fantastic scenes. You love to see it. It's exactly what I wanted, and I am elated with that.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three: Robinson, Bottas, and George Russell. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Yeah, we lead home some of the drivers who are almost certainly going to overtake us in the race. But yeah, good qualifying pace coming out from us. Definitely what I wanted there. I was hoping that we would be in the hunt for pole position, and that is going to be our first pole, I believe, since Portugal last season. So I think that takes our total number of poles up to an absolutely ridiculous number for how many wins we've got. We've got 3 wins, and I think we've had 10 pole positions. I think we had 9 last season. Despite the fact we only got 3 wins, including one of those at a race that we didn't get pole position in. Yeah, I think I had 9 poles last season, if I remember correctly. It was either 7 or 9. And yeah, we've added to that tally here today in Britain. So hopefully we can at least cling on to maybe sort of a top 5, top 6 finish. I think it's going to be quite hard to cling on to the points or even the podium. But yeah, I mean the win or even the podium. But hopefully we can at least score a good number of points as we get into the British Grand Prix.
Britain is one of only 2 countries to have held a Grand Prix in every year of the Formula One World Championship. Long may it continue. It is a circuit of speed, history and drama. It's Silverstone, it's the British Grand Prix. Silverstone Circuit is comprised of 18 corners, 3.6 miles, with DRS detection zones at Village and Maggots. Your overtaking opportunities at the end of the Wellington and Hangar Straights. You've got to be brave on the throttle in order to succeed here. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Robinson lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Magnussen, Leclerc, Stroll, Ocon, Gasly, Verstappen, Sainz, Hauger, Hulkenberg, Sonoda, Sargent, Liam Lawson, Joe, De Vries, Albon, and Enzo Fittipaldi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
And we are making our way down onto the grid, looking at the safety car at the moment. Who are we going to look at next that we can talk about? Nobody. Okay, it's just going to immediately move to this
I know
screen.
it's your home Grand Prix, but I want you to treat it like any other race. Let's not make any unnecessary risks, please.
Don't think there's any need to take any unnecessary risks for a change, actually, because we're starting on pole position. So yeah, it should be fairly straightforward occurrence. Just try and lead away from the lights and see what kind of pace we have. But I really think that this is going to be a bit of a struggle. That's the downside of being such a strong qualifier, is that you just find yourself moving backwards through the race all the time. Hopefully that doesn't happen on this occasion. I would love to cling on to a win at my home Grand Prix. You know, we took 6 seasons, I think, to do it in my last career mode. So it would be nice if we could not take that long this time around. But we will see if we can hold on to P1 in the British Grand Prix as the lights come on and the lights go out. And we've gotten away very well compared to the cars behind. That's exactly what I expected would happen. You know, I'm an extremely fast starter in this game, but now I think that is going to probably be the easiest part of the entire race for us, as we now have to try and hold on from Bottas, Russell, Piastri, Norris, and a swathe of other cars that are going to be closing us down over the course of the 26 laps of the British Grand Prix. Already Valtteri Bottas is closing us down, and it looks like he's going to try and go for a move up the inside into Brooklands. Oh, we're going to be able to hold on around the outside of him. We just about managed to keep our tyre in, and that allows us to take the inside of Luffield and stay ahead of him for the time being. We move now to the replay camera, and you can see that Bottas on the run down to Copse is going to be pressuring me quite significantly, and as we go through Copse, I am ahead for the time being, but he's going to move to the inside along with his teammate George Russell as well. I think both of them are going to try and go through. Has Bottas managed to pull off the move? Not quite. As we fight through Maggots and Beckett's, I do manage to fight him off and stay ahead, but I really can't see myself holding on to this position for long with the pace that these Mercedes are showing right now. And as we come on the run up to Stowe, you can see that Bottas has already got ahead by the time we get into the corner, and that is probably the victory slipping out of my clutches on lap 1. So yeah, whatever we do from now on, we'll just be trying to consolidate as many points as we possibly can. But the drama is definitely not over here, because we do have to hold off George Russell and a absolutely driven pack of cars behind us. You know, there's so many fast cars behind us. There's still really 7 teams, I would say, that are in the hunt for points in every race. And if we don't have the pace at a particular race, which, despite the fact we have a very strong aero package, we are massively lacking in straight line speed.
Okay,
we did, of course, set an engine upgrade to get on the car, which will come in time for the Dutch Grand Prix, I believe. So we still have to do, I think, about 3 or 4 races without it before we do get that upgrade on the car. So it's going to be difficult, but at least that will be on in time for Monza, which is a track that I would definitely sorely miss it at if it wasn't there. So yeah, Russell makes his way through on us, and in just a few laps we are already looking like we're going to be falling off the podium here. But yeah, there's not much we can do. You know, these Mercedes are blatantly faster than us, and I believe that Red Bull, McLaren, and Aston Martin are also blatantly faster than us as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if those guys get ahead of us sooner rather than later. You can see that Perez overtaking us with the DRS. It's an absolute non-contest. We also just don't really have the ERS to fight with these guys as well. You know, they have probably better battery upgrades than we do. I tried to go for my favourite move through Luffield, but Perez is wise to it this time, and he ends up defending and stays in P3. Piastri now, before we get into Stowe, is going for the move. Is he going to be able to hold on around the outside though? Tried to dive back up the inside, and we can't quite do it. That leaves me susceptible to Lando Norris, who dive bombs me into the Vale chicane, and that is us losing 2 positions in just a few corners. And now we're under pressure from Esteban Ocon behind as well in the Alpine. This is someone who I don't really want to lose out to if I can avoid it. You know, he's in what should be a fairly similarly paced car to me, but perhaps just with a few more engine upgrades will be a little bit faster in a straight line. But it seems like these guys are faster than me through the corners. Doesn't help that I'm kind of all over the place. Yeah, I don't know. The grip just doesn't seem to be there for me, as Ocon does make his way through on us eventually and up into P6. And we're already down to P7. That's 6 positions lost in just 4 laps. Really not going very well for us at the moment. Looking at Zhou Guanyu now battling away with one of the Haas cars, I believe, of Nico Hulkenberg. And, oh, he's gone straight into the side of his teammate. That is a huge crash. What was Tsunoda doing? What was Tsunoda doing there? He was just parked in the middle of Stowe while there were two cars going wheel to wheel battling through there, and Zhou just slammed straight into the side of his teammate. He's out of the race. That is race over for Zhou Guanyu, and surely a safety car is going to be called. You're going to see, from my perspective, as I'm battling away with Pierre Gasly as he's trying to get ahead of me, we're going to dive back down the inside of him into the Vale chicane. But yeah, the yellow flag now out behind us. Zhou Guanyu out of the session, and that is, of course, a safety car. You would not be surprised to see that, would you? That is an airplane crash between Tsunoda and Zhou. That was horrible to watch. What is it with Zhou and having massive crashes here at Silverstone? Obviously, he had that huge one in 2022 with George Russell, and yeah, that is him out of the race here again. This time it's Enzo Fittipaldi retiring from the race. That is behind the safety car, so despite the fact it looks like he's holding up these Alpha Tauris behind him, it's not going to make that much of a difference in the end. Obviously, my former teammate Enzo Fittipaldi, disappointing to see him retiring from the Grand Prix, but yeah, it just seems like an engine failure. Eventually on lap 8 we do get going again. I am in P6 at the moment. We have made up a position because Perez pitted under the safety car, as did quite a few people, to be fair. My teammate Dennis Hauger is one of them. I believe Verstappen did as well, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, quite a few people, especially those who started on the soft, so Gasly as well. All of them deciding to come in under the safety car, and well, that could prove to be the correct call. I was thinking about doing it, but I was wondering whether I would just get stuck in a train given my lack of pace here. So I ended up not doing it, and I think that might have been my undoing here. We might have had a chance to score some points still, but I would wait to say that our chance of scoring points is going to be completely over if those guys are going to the end. We get overtaken by Leclerc into Maggots and Beckett's, and we're also coming under pressure from Stroll now as well. I think he's going to have DRS here. No, I don't think so, actually. The DRS has not been enabled yet, but still, he's got so much straight line speed in that Aston Martin, such a fast Mercedes engine in the back of that car, that I just can't seem to stay with him no matter how hard I try. And yeah, that is Stroll through and up into P7. And at this point, we are looking like we're not even going to score points here. We had pole position, and we're really not going to hold on to any points. That is incredibly disappointing for what we had in this race. But yeah, things just going from bad to worse at the moment, as Perez, who's already pitted in this race, has now made his way through on me up into P8. And Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari looks like he is going to make my life pretty difficult here as well, as he moves past through up into P9, and we are down into P10. So yeah, really not what we would have wanted at this stage in the race, but you know, it's not much we can do. We just have to try and plow on and hope for the best. See if we can just maintain as many positions as we can. It's really
we're approaching the pit window.
It's really just not our race. Doesn't seem to be a track we have much race pace at. It's really surprising given the quali pace that we showed. I guess we just made up all that time on these guys through the corners or something. But yeah, the car just doesn't seem to be holding on nicely through the race. I don't know why. Tyres aren't overheating or anything. I did check on multiple occasions over the course of the race, and the tyres were fine. It just seems like everyone else had a bit more pace than us in race trim. So yeah, I don't really know why. That was, but yeah, here comes Verstappen. We don't make it difficult for him. Although I say that, we do try and dive back up the inside of him as we go into left field. But he's just got way too much pace. Obviously, he's already stopped, as have Magnussen and Gasly behind as well. Both of those guys already have stopped. So yeah, I think we're just going to be falling further and further down the order as this race soldiers on, and yeah, I think it's very, very unlikely we're going to be scoring any points here at the moment. That said, we have managed to stay with Carlos Sainz over the course of these last few laps. I don't know if he's got some kind of issue or something. Kevin Magnussen diving up the inside at Copse, sorry. I don't know how he's managed to pull that one off, but now we're coming under pressure from Pierre Gasly as well. Go wheel to wheel through Magnussen and Beckett. Might have been a bit of contact there, I think, but mostly unavoidable. I was pretty much pinched entirely to the inside of all of those corners, so don't think there was really anywhere else I could have gone. And yeah, Pierre Gasly eventually on the run up to Stowe is going to make the move on me, it seems. And yeah, we just don't have the grip to fight him back at the moment. But that's exactly why we are going to be coming into the pits at the end of the lap, and we're going to be putting on a set of hard compound tyres to the end of the race. 13 laps on the mediums, followed by 13 laps on the hards, and we are going to be following suit with a number of these cars in front, including one of the Mercedes, one of the McLarens, Leclerc and Stroll. All of these guys all coming in now. Ocon too, and yeah, we're just going to be seeing if we can basically hold on to any shred of dignity in this race at this point, I think that's about all we're going to hope for. At least we had a good stop this time, unlike in the previous race in Austria. Pit stop error possibly cost us a position or two. This time around, the pit stop was basically flawless. But I mean, all these guys are just too far ahead of us for it to really matter. Obviously, there was a few people who didn't pit on this lap, and if they're pitting on the subsequent laps, then maybe we will be able to get back ahead of them. But I still believe that where we are is no higher than sort of like net P15 or 16 or something like that. It's really not what you would want from a race like this. You know, a race where you start pole position, you don't expect to find yourself falling this far down, but that is unfortunately what's happened, and nothing we can really do to stop that from being the sort of the situation we find ourselves in. Sainz comes out of the pits, and he's a little bit further down on the likes of Stroll and his teammate Leclerc as well, and we're actually within a second of him, so we will get DRS, but I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. I think he's just got too much pace on the exit of all of these corners. Basically, he seems to be able to just get a lot more power out of the corners. I don't know if that's a setup thing or an engine thing or whatever, but yeah, we just don't seem to be able to stay with him at the moment, and that is difficult to take, but it is what it is, and we just have to keep upgrading the car, I guess. You know, I've been saying it all season, keep getting upgrades on the car, and we should be able to fight with these guys in no time, hopefully. We get ahead of Sargent as he pits, so that's us up into P17 now. You know, the silver linings, I guess we're not dead last, but you know, it's not much solace when we started off pole position in this race to think that we are probably not even going to be sort of like top 12 or anything like that in this. We're going to be lucky to even be top 15, I think, because I think Hulkenberg is the last car to pit in this race. We've gotten ahead of him now, so that is us up into P16, but yeah, I don't know. It's really just not what we would have wanted. Now we've kind of just got to hope for anything. For Hauger's sake, I actually hope there isn't a safety car, because he is currently running in P5, I believe, so he is doing very well, but he is going to have a hard task keeping all of these cars on fresher, faster tyres behind him. You know, he's not in a particularly quick car to begin with, and also he's on, you know, already 10-lap-old hard tyres. There is an issue with Stroll up ahead, which I don't know if that's going to allow us to maybe make up a position, and it seems like it will, because he's actually out of the race. Yeah, that's his car breaking down there, we saw that. So yeah, race over for Stroll, and one position gain for me. I'm up into P15 now, but you know, there's still going to be a lot that we've got to do to try and catch the cars in front. Fortunately, some of the cars who stopped early in the race under the safety car, their tyres are really starting to go off now, and maybe they're not that fast to begin with. So yeah, De Vries and Lawson and Hauger seem to be catchable from what I can tell, but there's just maybe not enough time to catch all of them. You know, Lawson has to be at least over 6 seconds up the road if Sainz is also more than 6 seconds up the road. So yeah, I think it's just going to be about catching De Vries here, and if we can get any higher than P14 here, I will be very, very impressed with only 4 laps to go in the British Grand Prix. We now are going to move to the replay camera, and this is Alex Albon in the other AlphaTauri, and his race is coming to an abrupt end with just a few laps left to go. Disappointing for him, although he was, I believe, in last or second to last, so maybe not the end of the world for his race. Yeah, we're ahead of basically only sort of back market teams at the moment: AlphaTauri, Haas, and Alfa Romeo. The reason why Tsunoda is so far down is obviously because of that crash with Joe. He was lucky not to have his end race, or his race end, I should say.
Right, we've got enough fuel for 3 more laps.
He got a 10-second time penalty for that collision. So yeah, he definitely had his warning, but yeah, just a race to forget for Alfa Romeo, really. Race to forget for a lot of these teams, I think, and for us included, as Dennis Hauger has now been overtaken by basically everyone who's going to overtake him. He's down into P12. It's still a solid result for him, don't get me wrong. Definitely the strategy worked into his hands. He made up more positions than he probably would have done if he hadn't put it under the safety car. But, you know, given that he was in P5, I was kind of hoping he might be able to hold on to the points, but I guess it's reassuring to know that I'm not the only one who was struggling to find pace to keep faster cars behind in this Jaguar today. So as we go through the Vale chicane, round the final few corners, we are eventually Going to cross the line to take P14, and well, what is it with me and getting pole position and then finishing P14, huh? You know, if I had a nickel for every time that happened, it would be 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's very strange that it happened twice. So yeah, Max Verstappen winning the race, and just P14 for us today.
Brilliant stuff from Red Bull today. What a superb victory. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think the key here was just the quality of the racecraft, you know? I mean, how many overtakes did they make overall? I'm sure we have a stat person keeping score somewhere, and it was fantastic to watch, wasn't it? This is a strategic sport at the end of the day, but it's always really gratifying to see close-fought battles on track. It's what all the fans are after.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
Yeah, it was a dominant victory from the Red Bulls. They got the strategy perfect this time, usurped the Mercedes. I'm disappointed to see Pierre Gasly up on the podium there, because that is going to make Alpine all the harder to catch in the championship. But I guess we'll just have to fire straight back with a podium of our own. However, it's not going to be easy, because the next race we're going to is, of course, in Alpine's backyard at the French Grand Prix.
So let's review the drivers' standings. Despite the best efforts of our championship leader, that lead has taken a bit of a knock today. So let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for your driver of the day?
Often my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. No change in the top spot, but with today's points, their hold on the lead is getting weaker. Meanwhile, a strong weekend from Red Bull this time out, and they improved their position in the championship. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
I think it's starting to get to that point in the car development phase where I start questioning myself whether I'm washed at the game, because I always feel like this happens in every year's game since they introduced My Team Career Mode, at least, where I feel like I'm very strong at the beginning of the game's life cycle. You know, you think back to maybe season 2 of my Team Career Mode last year. I feel like I was pretty strong in that, despite the fact that we had a pretty weak car. I was still scoring points and getting even podiums on a fairly regular basis. So yeah, that was pretty nice. But then kind of, I feel like my pace over the other cars kind of tailed off a little bit. And I feel like it's because whilst I still have like the ability to do good laps, hence why I qualify so well, I feel like the faster the car gets, the more inconsistent I become. Like I really struggle to put consistent laps in when the car is really quick. It's like I can't react quickly enough to the performance that the car is delivering, which is kind of crazy to me, because I'm not old or anything. My reaction speed shouldn't be super sort of deteriorated or anything like that. But yeah, it just feels like I really struggle to handle the car, and I feel like I definitely saw that on multiple occasions in this race, where I just couldn't seem to take corners with the kind of speed that I would want to be taking on a regular basis. And I know that obviously, when the car's like completely fueled up and maybe the tires have gone off a little bit, it's not easy to do that kind of thing. But it's still it really makes me feel like, I don't know, quite like inadequate, I guess, because I feel like I just I don't possess the raw sort of skill to fight with these guys. But it is something that I usually get on top of over the course of a game. In F1 22, for example, not 23. This is F1 23, but in F1 22, for example, it was pretty much every single season. Once I was challenging for the Drivers' Championship, I feel like I really struggled for a bit. And in every season, there was always a period in which I struggled, and I felt like, oh, maybe this is finally the time where I'm gonna fall off. But then I won 4 Drivers' Championships in a row, so yeah, maybe I've not got so much to worry about as I think I do. But yeah, we're still leading Ocon in the rivalry, so it's not the end of the world where we find ourselves at the moment. It's just one of those things where I want to get on top of these issues. I don't know if it's about developing the car or whether it's just about becoming more consistent or whatever it is. But yeah, I want to get on top of that as quickly as I possibly can, so that we can be scoring the sort of maximum amount of points that that the car can earn week in, week out. You know, we're going to be getting more upgrades on the car as time goes on, and hopefully that will only contribute further to our overall pace and our ability to contend with the cars around us. But that is going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.